You know, in life, we have these defining moments that we might not realize will be changing our life forever. And listen, I have to share these patterns with you because you're here because you want to level up. And I'm here because I want to help you with this and save you time and energy. So I'm therefore going to break down my story so that you get to see those patterns. I hope that's going to help you achieve success faster. So here we go. I was born in 1986. My father is from Finland and my mom is from Estonia. But I grew up in Sweden and that's kind of where I got my first memories. My parents divorced. We didn't have a lot of money. You know, things were always so chaotic at home, and at school I was bullied. And so at the age of 9, I found a way of coping with these difficulties. I fell in love with horses. My friend, she brought me to a farm one day that was located next to my house. I ended up spending all my free time I had on this farm. And you know, my parents, they didn't have the money to send me to take proper riding lessons at that time. So I found a way where I would be able to help out on this farm and in return get to ride their horses for free. And then what happened was that as soon as I turned 15, you know, that was kind of the legal age of working in Sweden as a youngster. And so I would then, you know, work every summer and make the little money that I would earn back then. And then I would just reinvest it in my horse hobby. And that actually taught me this really important lesson of working hard in life, because my parents couldn't help me. They couldn't help me with anything, really, besides, you know, providing the necessities like clothing or shelter. So I learned that to get anything in life, it is so important to be proactive, to work for it. Between the ages of 17 and 19, I found a job, you know, working part-time in a department store in Sweden, you know, in their lunch canteen, because I was so eager to make money. And then I also found another job, you know, selling ice cream in some kiosk during summer, because I was so desperate of leaving Sweden as soon as I graduated high school. I wanted to move to Italy. I wanted to study Italian, so I was working really, really hard. Took every opportunity I could to save up money just so that I could leave. And let me tell you, I do remember the day when I finally went to Rome. Hallelujah moment. I was so happy. But you know what the crazy part of the story was? I had actually no idea back then what a defining moment my trip to Rome would turn out to be. I went for about a year. I met some really nice friends over there because, you know, I was all by myself, completely outside of my comfort zone. And so that also led me to start dating this young guy who happened to come from a high society family. Now, he was able to, you know, show me a life behind some form of velvet robe, you know, a life that I thought was only possible if you're born into it. But then I quickly learned that no, actually it's more accessible than we think. But it's only accessible if we take action and if we learn to communicate correctly with this group of people. Now, you know, unfortunately, this guy ended up cheating on me, and so I left Rome so devastated and heartbroken, and I didn't really know where to go next. But I was still desperate of not returning back to Sweden. I wanted to continue my adventure. So I had heard that the rich kids in Rome, they spoke about Ibiza many times. So I'm like, yes, that's a good plan. I'm gonna go to Ibiza, even though I have no money. So I had to figure out a way of making that money. So I'm like, okay, there is only one way, and that is if I find a job in Ibiza. How am I gonna find a job in Ibiza? I don't know. So I just want to pause there for a second, because in a situation like this, I know that many would find themselves like overwhelmed because there's kind of no direction, like, oh, what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna go? How am I gonna do it, you know? And that's normal. But I don't know, I personally always had this attitude that if there is a problem, there's a solution and a way to fix it. And so even though I didn't have the solution, but I was just going to try a bunch of different approaches and then, you know, hope for the best. And eventually, you know, something was going to work. So in this case, what I did was that I just went online and started browsing. Yes, we did have internet back then. I remember typing in, you know, jobs in Ibiza, you know, on Google. And then I opened every single advert that I could find. And then eventually I found this ad where a hotel was looking for animators in Ibiza. Bingo, ladies. I applied, and thanks to me being bilingual, because they were looking for people with multiple languages, I got the job. Now, to be fully honest with you, I wasn't able to keep this job for longer than a month before they fired me. I was really not suitable for the job, and hey, shit happens. Time to move on. And so I was there now in Ibiza, no money, didn't know where to go, nowhere to live. And so what I did was that I just desperately started looking around. Where's a job? Where's a job? And I opened this newspaper, and then I saw an ad where this really famous nightclub in Ibiza were looking for dancers. Bingo! Once again. And even though I'm not a professional dancer, but I had taken some ballet classes when I was like 7 years old. So maybe I had some sense of rhythm somehow. I still went for it. I applied, went on a few auditions, and somehow got the job. Now, what was special about that job was that it was really exciting because that job, once again, opened up the door for me to access people of high society, celebrities, and just really explore that environment. And I learned so much about that community that I later in my life could harvest, once I set up my business, because that's what I started teaching people about. Now listen, if you think my life was always like this glitzy high society journey, no. It was also really trashy at times and just major low points that we're going to talk about, don't worry. It's just that I always found my way back into these circles somehow because I was always like, curious and intrigued by it all. So I worked in Ibiza for about a summer. Then I ended up continuing to Malta, where I actually stayed for about like 4 years. Just happened that the boyfriend that I had at that time, he was Maltese, and I didn't know what to do in my life. I had no plan. I was just completely lost. So I just followed him to Malta. Like, why not? Do not recommend it. Even though I still enjoyed, my stay in Malta. I made some incredible friendships over there. Plus, that was the place where I adopted my first 2 dogs, Piggy and Ziggy, from there. By the way, rest in peace, because this year they turned 17 years old and they sadly passed away. So yeah, I miss them a lot. Getting emotional there. But anyway, just going back to Malta, because it was a very defining moment to end up there. Prior to Malta, I had no serious job experience. I didn't go to university. I don't know what I was doing actually, but somehow I found a job in a call center, customer service for an online gambling company. And then later, because I had that experience, I was then able to get a job in affiliate marketing, like in the online gambling industry. And that was actually a real pivotal moment because I got the exposure to marketing for the first time. And I was like, wow, I can't believe you can do this, you can do that. Like, ooh, I was so amazed that one can even set up their own business in internet marketing. And I saw these affiliates make millions off the internet. I want to do it too. Now, do you think I started implementing that just because I discovered something? No. I ended up instead doing what I was really good at, and that was escapism. That was partying. That was just wasting time and doing stupid things and engage in loads of self-sabotage. Oh yes, that was me in my 20s on repeat. So eventually, this relationship that I had in Malta, it ended. Once again, I had nowhere to go, so I took my 2 dogs and I moved back to my parents in Sweden at the age of 24. Now, if you think that was a low point, well, that wasn't yet the lowest. The lowest was still to come. Listen, ladies, I was really broke and I needed to find a new job like ASAP. And at that point, I was desperate. Like, I just took whatever I could. And even though, I had this work experience, I had been working in offices, gone on some business trips and just really leveled up my career from scratch. Like, some can think like, girl, you made it. But no, I didn't, because I had nothing to fall back on. And literally in Sweden, I could only find a job as a server in a cafe. So I took that job. and I had to put my pride aside. And so that taught me really that sometimes, like in life, you gotta do what you gotta do, and sometimes you can't even be picky. I had to really focus on staying proactive and keep, investing in myself and just keep going forward instead of just be paralyzed that, oh no, I can't get an office job right now. So, what was about to happen next? I think a lot of you know because I've spoken about this in previous content, but I got this genius idea of participating in a reality show in Sweden. I got accepted. I was so eager to just turn my luck around because I seriously thought that I would become famous and kind of become super successful if I just participated in this reality show. Oh my, listen, I'm sorry, I have to laugh. I just remember how naive and wrong that was. This reality show, it turned out to be a bit of a disaster for my part. First and foremost, it was like the least watched season of all time. So none of the contestants really got a moment to shine. And I certainly didn't get famous. Like, honestly, instead, I just embarrassed myself. And I had literally 2 minutes of fame that just led me to hit rock bottom. Oh, terrible times. After the show, I just fell into some form of depression. And I literally started partying even more, even harder, just to kind of really escape from all the pain and shame that I was feeling. And on top of that, I entered some really destructive relationship that I had a really hard time leaving until I left the country. Anyway, life was not great at that time, okay? It was a low point. But, from time to time, I was somehow able to just, gather a little bit of strength to just do something a little bit proactive. And that actually ended up becoming my kind of go-to coping mechanism because it always gave me, a sense of relief. I felt like I could cope with my anxiety if I was just doing something, like took some form of action that helped me move the needle forward, just a little bit. And so what I did during those, really dark years was that I got myself into this 1-year diploma training to become an internet marketer. Because, I had not let go of that idea from Malta. But, I still had plans of leaving Sweden. I never wanted to really live there after I had discovered, the international scene and what was possible abroad. But hey, you need money to relocate. You need money to travel and to go to places. And so once again, I had to, pull my sleeves up and just, find a job that worked together with my studies because, I was studying daytime. But then luckily, I found a job as a nighttime caretaker for handicapped people, which I did at night, and then I would go to school during the day. Don't ask me how I did. I saved up money, I got graduated, got my diploma, and then hasta luego, Sweden. I left once again. So I went backpacking in Central America. I started in El Salvador. I spent like 1 month there visiting a friend. And then I took the bus from El Salvador via Honduras, Nicaragua, and down to Costa Rica. From Costa Rica, I jumped on a plane to Panama, but I didn't stay there long, so I continued to Colombia, where I literally fell in love with the country. I spent 3 whole months there, just dancing salsa every day and, hanging out with people and literally live the time of my life. Now listen, I did know that everything would come to an end, especially as my visa was expiring soon. So I began my, yet again, proactive anxiety cure, scouting the internet for jobs because soon it was time to go home. And by chance, I found a job offer in London and I went there for an interview. I got the job and then I actually ended up spending the next coming 6 years there before I eventually moved to Switzerland, where I am today. Now listen, London, oh my goodness, London, that is actually where my career was born because I arrived, after Colombia in 2012. Didn't know anyone there. Listen, I was so lonely, so I started writing this blog out of complete boredom about my high society interest and experience over the years. And the reason why I started this blog was really to just test all the knowledge that I had learned during this internet marketing study or diploma training that I did. Because I wanted to see, is this stuff really working? Let me put them to practice. And so I did. And thanks to this education and to all these like SEO skills that I learned, my blog started to really come up on Google and people started to discover it. And I started to get a little bit of traffic and I was so excited. And then eventually I started building a community of readers. And then later, we continued the journey to Facebook. And then in 2018, I knew that blogging was going to be dying soon. It's time to reinvent yourself. So that's when I ended up on YouTube. I took my audience there and I started to get some traction really quickly because I already had a bit of an audience going on. But I also do know that nobody was talking about the stuff that I was talking about on YouTube back then. Like I spoke about high society, elegance, dating, and networking, that kind of thing. And that was intriguing people. And when you're doing something different, when you're being unique, you stand out. And that's actually how many people end up achieving success in their careers. So my career journey really kind of happened like that. But that wasn't actually kind of my priority goal to fix. My biggest goal was to find love and to meet my soulmate, and that journey wasn't easy. Okay, let me just reverse my story a little bit because we have to go back to my 20s. Like I was in a constant emotional turmoil, trying to understand why is this not working? Like why am I only meeting the wrong type of men? Why is it so difficult for me to, get into this serious relationship that I was looking for? Now, for full disclosure, I started first by leveling up my love life. Then, once that was sorted, I started leveling up my career. Not saying this is what you should be doing, but this is what worked for me. And sometimes I think you have to focus maybe on one thing at a time to give it your full focus, because doing like these 2 or 3 major projects at the same time, that can be really challenging. So back then, I had no career. I was working at my 9-to-5 office job while trying to date in London. And listen, it was really hard. Like I was also traveling a lot during that time, trying to see, will my love life get any better maybe in other countries? It kind of did, but it also didn't. So eventually I just decided, you know what? I'm going to return back to London. And this was 2015. And I decided to start therapy because I was done, with all these disappointments in men. And I actually needed some professional help to understand my own patterns and my own kind of baggage. This was also during a time when I was turning 30 years old. And for somebody who is a high achiever like myself, I thought I would have things figured out by then. But I wasn't married, neither did I had a successful career going for myself. Now, about 10 months after I had started my therapy journey, I was finally available to meet a man. A good man this time. And so I met my future husband via a friend. And fast forward in 2021, we ended up marrying. In 2019, I moved to Geneva in Switzerland, here where I am today. What I want to share with that story is that I don't think I would have been able to keep my husband or be emotionally ready for this relationship, because I would have probably sabotaged this relationship if I didn't start therapy. I mean, really, I was a mess. And I'm so happy I sorted myself out before I met this person. And I really hope, and I want to inspire as many of you as possible to try to actively fix what's currently not working. And sometimes you have to start with yourself. Because, thanks to all this inner work that I did and went through this healing journey, there was a reward at the end. I mean, it wasn't easy to get there. Don't take me wrong. It wasn't all, smiles and happy times. No. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of tears, definitely. But I actually ended up staying in therapy over the years because I ended up seeing, wow, this can really level up your life in some incredible ways. And now it's just part of my personal development journey and something that I still do today. Now, I want you to know that I'm not saying that I have it all figured out or that everything that I did in my story you should be inspired by. Because obviously you saw some negative patterns of me, of my past. But I've shared my story with you today because I'm sure you can see certain patterns by now that really did bring a lot of good things on this kind of crazy journey that I've had. And so number 1, taking action. Like the fact that I developed this habit of always trying to ease my anxiety and fears by becoming really proactive and, take whatever action I could towards either finding a solution or just doing something to move the needle forward. I want you to take action, like whatever action it is, even if it's imperfect action. You have to do it, otherwise nothing is gonna happen. 2, being resourceful. So if something wasn't working out in my life, which you saw many times it really didn't, I would just get really creative with my approach and try to find new solutions. And then, something was going to work eventually. And so sometimes you actually have to really improvise, when you have challenging situations. And you have to be flexible and just adapt. And this flexibility has saved me so many times. Whew. Number 3. Not being afraid of working hard. Now, some people have parents that really give them everything in life. I'm actually happy my parents didn't, because instead, I got the biggest gift ever. And that is that I'm really comfortable with working hard. And I just have developed naturally this drive of doing so. And that is a trait that anyone can develop. And it's gonna take you anywhere you want. Because in the end of the day, to be able to be successful on your level up, yeah, you have to work hard and you have to, have some money to level up. But most importantly, you have to take that action and always stay proactive. And the reason why I made this video is because I want to inspire you to take that action. I want to motivate you. I want to help you, fire up your butt and help to get you there. And you know that if you want to join me on this journey, because now I'm here behind the screen helping you ladies who are serious about your level up journeys, I am now available inside levelupclass.com, which is my paid community where you can take action together with me and feel motivated, but also get education, clarity, and loads of other things in the many services that I offer inside this platform, such as masterclasses, challenges, downloadable resources, and monthly live calls that I do together with my high-achieving ladies inside this platform. Now go to levelupclass.com and join us. Right now we have a special offer going on, and I can't wait to see you inside the platform. But I'm also here available for you on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe if you still haven't. Now in my next video, I want to help you level up further. I will see you there.